Well, a very good morning to you. As always, it's a pleasure to have you with us. As you can see, it's a new look, but I must tell you, the content remains unrivaled. Welcome to KTN News, specifically Morning Express. My name is Jesse Rogers. It's the 5th day of October, and we're here bright and early to bring you up to speed with the latest developments. Even as you get to kickstart your day, we'll definitely do it in a way only we can. We'll take a look at the latest news covered in today's dailies, what you need to know about the latest news making headlines, and we'll get to interrogate some of the top stories. As you can see, I have with me the Daily Nation, Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, and the Business Daily. A lot to do with the current news, and we'll definitely try and break it down in a way only we can. Even as we do that, today happens to be the World Teachers' Day, a day celebrated globally, and we'll try and plug into this particular conversation. The education sector is quite key in this country, and we'll try and see some of the strides that have been made, bearing in mind we're just in the midst of a pandemic. Remember, still stay safe, wear your mask and sanitize. But even as we do that, we'll interrogate the steps taken in the teaching fraternity, some of the challenges the teachers face, even as they're set to have that particular assessment after every 5 or 6 years, which was actually imposed to them by the Teacher Service Commission. We'll try and have a discussion based on this, the curriculum, the CBC, and so much more. So do feel free to stay with us till the tail end of the broadcast. As I mentioned, we'd like to begin with the latest news covered in the dailies. But before we take a look at the local news, let's begin with the international news right now. The Daily Monitor is one of the pages that covers extensively some of the developments happening in Uganda, and I'd like to begin on that particular note just to peruse through some of the headlines covered on this page. So the Daily Monitor goes big with one of the major stories touching on the former Chief Justice, who says, "Don't blame me for bail law," says Odoki, where the former Chief Justice says CA representatives should have asked the public whether the stand on bail was the right thing before adopting it in the Constitution. More details on that particular story, but even as we peruse through other stories, NSSF expresses readiness to make payouts next month. So the Social Security Fund in Uganda says the fund project payout of mid-term benefits this year alone is set to hit the 500 billion shilling mark. That's one of the major stories covered on the Daily Monitor. And of course, Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp were actually hit by an outage just yesterday. And I'm sure many Kenyans, similarly Ugandans, were asking themselves a question, perhaps it's my phone. I'm one of those people who kept on restarting it, but there was an outage right there, and various people were unable to perform regular tasks like sending messages or downloading pictures. Of course, it seems to be up and running as we speak right now, and we'll definitely explore more details on that. But on the same note, I'd like us to cross over to the latest developments happening in Tanzania, where the Citizen cover extensively. And there you have it, one of the major stories covered there. It's about that global outage on WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. This is new considering all the three platforms were actually hit by this outage at the same time in many regions, and they were not working on the web or respective smartphone apps. Definitely, they seem to be up and running right now. So feel free to interact with us, whether it's via Facebook or WhatsApp. Anyway, taking a look at other stories, Vodacom and Tigo lose market shares as Airtel consolidates position. So Tanzania's telecom giants Tigo and Vodacom have lost their market shares to other 5 competitors in the second quarter of 2021. The latest to do with the telecommunications sector. Those are some of the major stories covered on The Citizen. So make sure you're adequately informed about those developments. Let's just cross over to Rwanda today. In the same breath, let's take a look at our East African partner, what's transpiring in their region. 7 schools receive approval to begin offering nursing courses once again. And those institutions will offer a 3-year A2 course starting next month. More details on this particular page. Anti-apartheid icon Desmond Tutu turns 90. And he rarely speaks in public right now, ever since he retired in 2010. But he's of key significance to the country's independence and, of course, a key figure in the continent as well. Rwanda quotes Zimbabwe to plug teachers' shortage, even as employees go back to work, but at a cost. That's the latest from Rwanda right now. Okay, so let's go to CNN World News. What's the latest covered from around the globe? Some of the major stories right there. Confessions of a former torturer. It's a CNN exclusive where Chinese detective in exile exposes torture methods used to force Uyghurs to confess. Unfortunate turn of events right there, but it's a blow-to-blow exclusive. Sit down. Make sure you're adequately informed on that. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp start coming back online after that 6-hour outage. The Kenyans will definitely be smiling as they wake up to this particular news. China's Korea War propaganda movie smashes box office record. One of the other stories touching on the entertainment sector. But as you can see, you can definitely see a vaccine tracker in terms of the vaccination process, especially in the United States and various countries around the world. So it's of due diligence, quite important to be adequately informed about what's happening around the world. Okay, now we want to begin on that particular note on the outage on those 3 mobile platforms, where for better part of Monday evening, 3 major sites associated with Mark Zuckerberg, that's Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, were off for approximately 6 hours. The 3, used mostly for communication across different platforms, experienced an outage, as confirmed on the only functioning site, Twitter. The WhatsApp team, for example, took to Twitter to explain that they were aware that some users may be experiencing issues with the platform. The team promised as early as 7:15 p.m. on Monday to get things back to normal as soon as possible. It's not clear what exactly caused the technical challenge, but WhatsApp is one of those on the top text, even as audio and communication platforms were actually affected. That's on WhatsApp. Instagram equally went down, as I mentioned, and those who are using Twitter were left out of these particular issues, even as that company promised to resolve the issues. But right now, as we speak, the 6-hour outage has been resolved, and some of those platforms are up and running as we speak. But let's cross over to yet another story that is making headlines on today's dailies. I can see the Standard has gone big with it on the front page, all to do with the Pandora leaks, where President Uhuru Kenyatta and the larger First family are locked in a global controversy following an investigative report dubbed Pandora Papers that listed the head of state among key world leaders with secret offshore accounts amounting to billions of shillings. And as Murimi Mwangi now reports, President Kenyatta, in a late evening brief statement to newsrooms, promised to give a comprehensive response to the allegations in a report indicating a comprehensive audit of the report would enhance financial transparency in the government. Murimi Mwangi breaks it down. Take a look.
After sifting through some 11.9 million confidential files for 2 years in a joint investigation of over 600 journalists drawn from 150 media outlets, including the Kenyan veteran investigative journalist John Allan Namu-led Africa Uncensored, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICIJ, came out with damning findings detailing offshore financial dealings of the King of Jordan, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, his Czech Republic counterpart Andrzej Babis, the presidents of Ukraine and Ecuador, as well as President Uhuru Kenyatta's family. The report now linking Uhuru and 6 family members, including his brother Muhoho and his mother Ngina Kenyatta, to at least 11 firms, including one valued as holding assets of over 3 billion Kenya shillings. The report further linking the president's mother as the first beneficiary of a secret foundation in Panama, whose second beneficiary is listed as President Uhuru Kenyatta. But reacting to the report, Kenyatta, in a statement drafted by State House spokesperson Kanzadena, did not deny facts of the expose, instead indicating whilst he would respond comprehensively upon his return from the Americas, the said reports would go a long way in enhancing financial transparency and the openness that we require in Kenya and around the globe, adding that the movement of illicit funds, proceeds of crime and corruption thrive in an environment of secrecy and darkness, summing up his reaction that the Pandora Papers and subsequent follow-up audits would lift the veil of the secrecy and darkness for those who cannot explain their assets or wealth. Globally influential persons are known to hide their wealth in offshore accounts without hefty taxation regimes to avoid domestic rates which could be higher or unfavorable. A complex financial web whose oversight Kenya Revenue Authority Commissioner General Githimbo